Welcome to the Eye on Annapolis Local Business Spotlight. There are thousands of locally owned businesses in the area, some small and some large. Some you may know and others you don't. But one thing they all have in common is a great story, and we want to share it with you. Join us every Saturday as we talk to the founders, the owners, and the managers of local businesses you have come to know and love, and those you will come to know and love. Now here's your host, John Frenay, with this week's Local Business Spotlight.
Well, it seems to be a favorite spot of mine, Rise Up Coffee. And it doesn't matter where you go, but wonderful coffee. And actually, they got some great breakfast sandwiches as well. But today we are sitting here with Hannah Gribbon, who is the proud new owner of a new business in town. I don't think she's regretting it yet, so that's a good thing.
Not yet.
Hannah, you are the proprietress. There's a fancy word, of Cocoa and Pearl, which is a mobile bakery, but your vehicle is a boat.
Yes, it is.
That's so cool.
Thank you. I'm really into it so far. I hope everyone else is too.
I have no doubt that they will be, except for the people that are landlocked, and then that's their loss.
Their loss, yep.
Cocoa and Pearl. Let's start out at the beginning. Is that the name of the boat?
No, the name of the boat is actually Honeybun.
Appropriate.
The name of the business and the name of the boat actually are a bit of a callback to my mom. So she passed away when I was a teenager, and that's really where my love of baking started. Kind of when I was looking for ways to have happy memories of her. A lot of times I would remember being in the kitchen. And she was a cook more than a baker, but I like baking more than cooking. So just being in the kitchen really brought me back to the happy times. And the more I started doing it, the more I started loving it. And I was just baking and baking and baking. And, you know, I tried some other career paths, and I'm really happy, you know, with where my life took me. But ultimately, it just had to be baking. So
that investment banking didn't work out for you?
Yeah, I know, right? So, yeah, it had to be baking. Especially once my kids were born, I really wanted to set an example of following your dreams. So.
Okay, so cocoa is a key ingredient in baking.
Yep, and it was also my mom's nickname.
Okay, and what's Pearl?
My middle name.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And then my mom was a true Baltimore Hun through and through. Hun was like every other word, so Honeybun is a little bit of that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I mean, how did you get into this? You said you've had some other careers and everything else, and you wanted to follow your dreams and stuff like that, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I recommend everybody does that because they're going to be a lot happier.
It's stressful, but I am happier. It's a happier stress.
Yeah. Define that one for you.
I know. Yeah, I got into it. So I baked all the way through college, kind of as a side hustle, making cakes for friends and big events, anniversaries, graduations, and things like that. And then I joined the Coast Guard. My older brother was already in the Coast Guard, and I was kind of looking for something that felt significant. You know, I was looking to really contribute back to my community, and I really enjoyed my time in the Coast Guard. I got to travel and do amazing things. And one of my final stations was in Boston, where I was it's called a marine inspector, so I would inspect vessels coming into the port of Boston to make sure that they were safe and following all of the laws that we have for vessels. So that could be anything from a huge container ship all the way to a small whale watching boat. And that's where I learned a lot about wooden boats. There's a lot of wooden boats in Boston. That's what a lot of the charter fishing vessels are. And I loved them. There was one I would inspect pretty often. You know, not because anything was wrong with it, just because it was an inspection schedule they had to follow.
Right.
And I used to joke that I was going to buy the boat from them one day, which is not what happened. They still own the boat. It's still in Boston. But when my family and I moved back to Annapolis, because I'm originally from here, I started looking for wooden boats. And this idea kind of formed in my mind where I could combine my two interests, which is being on the water and these wooden boats and also baking.
Very cool. Why a wooden boat?
So I really wanted this to be significant to the area. So the boat that I ended up buying is a wooden deadrise, which is that classic crabbing boat that you see.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And, you know, one day when things are really going super well, I want to manifest this into reality, I would love to give as much as I can back to the Chesapeake Bay. So whether that's donations, for research, whatever is going to help. And I thought that having this boat that is really the image of the bay and of our crabbing, you know, the maritime culture that's so important was really a good fit for the business.
Oh, it absolutely is. Absolutely. Well done.
Thanks.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well, the cocoandpearl.com is the website, and don't forget there's 2 A's in the middle of that. It's COCOAANDPEARL.
Yeah.
.com.
Don't love it, but it is what it is.
which is fine.
Yeah.
But you are getting ready to launch here in Annapolis. So what area? What areas are you going to serve? I mean, if I've got a boat. Where do I need to be?
Yeah.
To give your baking a shot.
Yep. So I'm going to start on Back Creek and Spa Creek. So that's where the mooring fields are. That's where a lot of marinas are. It's like the Eastport area. And I'm going to see where it goes. I'm going to see where it goes from there. If there's a huge, large demand, my boat is substantial enough that I could go farther. But it is just me for now. I'm kind of starting this in the lean startup fashion. Sure. So I'm just going to take on what I can handle and keep expanding so I can make as many people happy.
Well, what are you peddling on your boat?
Yeah, so I love pastries. So all things going perfectly, which is never the case, but one can hope. I will have things like croissants. I will have some things like maybe some Danish. There will definitely be muffins, quick breads, which would be things like lemon loaves, orange loaves, a few cookies, definitely some scones.
Very cool.
A lot of breakfasty stuff, and that also kind of goes into the initial plan will be morning deliveries. And then, I've got a lot of plans already for 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line. I'd love to turn this into something that could also deliver maybe like wine and cheese and be out in the afternoons. And just hopefully people think of it as kind of like an upscale room service for their boat.
That's really kind of neat. I mean, is there a way to deal with you on land?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. So I don't do the actual baking on the boat. That would be a high energy demand for the boat and space and be very heavy. If you send an email to the email that can be found on the website, which is coco.pearl.bakery@gmail.com, I can right now for sure do custom orders or really anything that people want. I could probably make work. I don't have an allergy-free kitchen, but I can use allergy-free ingredients. I can do gluten-free and vegan, all that good stuff. And I'll meet you in the Annapolis area, or you can come to the Broadneck Peninsula to pick it up.
Okay, cool. Now, as far as your kitchen and stuff like that, I mean, are you using what do they call them? Is this in your home?
Yes.
Where you're doing it? Okay.
Yep, right now it's under the cottage food regulations, which is legal in the state of Maryland. So that's why the things that I'm offering, you'll notice, don't have temperature-controlled ingredients. So there's no risk of anybody getting sick because there's no icings that contain cream cheese or milk.
Okay.
Everything is shelf-stable but still very delicious.
Where is the boat based out of and docked? And
right now it's in Tolman Island, which is a great little spot. It's about a 2-hour boat ride from Annapolis,
right.
An hour drive. But I have what I call my summer home, which is the marina at Nautilus Point, which is in Eastport.
Okay, they've got a lot of little businesses that are operating out of there now between
Quite
Capital Sup, and they've got the tiki boat and the paddle boat. It
was kind of a funny coincidence. So I was talking to my dad, who helps me on the boat all the time because he's I won't say a lifelong boater, but he started boating when he was a young man. And so I was telling him all about the boat and how I found this great new slip for it. It was going to be awesome. And I was describing where the boat was going to be. And the more he and I are talking, we realize that his best friend from college, they've been friends for 50 years, keeps his boat not only at the same marina, but on the same pier. We're like right across the pier from each other.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, you've talked about your kids, talked about your father and stuff like that, so it seems like you've got your family involved in this too.
Oh, big time. Yeah. So
are they taste testers? Is that what the deal is?
Absolutely. So my kids are still quite young. I've got twins that are 4 years old.
Ooh.
And a baby. She'll always be the baby. She's not a baby anymore, but she's 2. So the twins are Darcy and Sophie. The baby is Melody. We've always called Darcy from day one my head taste tester, because if I'm baking anything, she comes running in for the spatula to taste. They love all the finished products. They always say it tastes good, though. They're not harsh critics.
Okay, good. Well, yeah, I mean, you're the one that feeds them.
Yeah, I know. They don't want it to stop.
They're not dumb. They're smart. They're smart there. So, I mean, I know you haven't started, and it may seem like a stupid question, but I mean, are you looking at any kind of expansion? I mean, what's the 10, 15, 20...
Oh, we can all just listen to my daydream now. So early on, I would love to do some rapid expansion. So that would include getting into a commercial kitchen, whether that means I'm a ghost kitchen. out of someone else's facility, or if the town of Annapolis really comes out for me, if we make enough money, we could open up our own commercial space. So that would expand my menu options. That's what I'd like to do early on. Also some upgrades to the boat, which would make it look a little bit more on the inside like a food truck, and that means I could serve things like coffee and other beverages with pastries, which I think would be a very nice pairing. And then expanding from there farther, maybe 5 or 10 years down the future, I'd love to have a whole storefront. I'd love to be on the water so that people can see the boat coming and going, maybe have more than one boat to go out to the other river, other areas like Dobbins Island. And then in its final form, there would be a bed and breakfast upstairs.
Ah, yeah. Very cool.
I also do plan, because the boat is so gorgeous and it's so just iconic, I'd love to be able to take people out. It's small, it wouldn't be huge groups, but with my Coast Guard background, I think I can get it to a level where the Coast Guard would inspect it for passengers, and then people could go out for things like anniversaries or graduations, or maybe to get engaged, and it could be like a little dinner cruise around Annapolis.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Neat. How old is the boat? What year is it?
It's 1959.
Finally, something older than me in town. That's awesome. I love to hear it. I love to hear it. It's funny, I had a similar idea probably 20 years ago, and I actually talked to the people in Seattle at Starbucks, because I thought that a boat-based Starbucks would be like awesome. And my vision was taking a little bit of a model from like Las Vegas hotels and casinos, where I would be blowing the smell of coffee across the harbor.
Yes.
As people are starting to wake up in the mooring fields.
That would work for me, for sure.
And they, at that time, they were like, yeah, no, we're purely brick and mortar. We need, we need foundations under us and everything else. They did say it was a good idea. And my thought was like, well, when the weather starts to get cruddy here in like October-ish.
Yeah.
Maybe after the boat shows.
That's exactly my end point. Yep.
Go down to St. John's, and we'll do it all over again in the winter.
Yeah, for real.
As far as yourself, I mean, you said you sort of love pastry-ish and baking as opposed to cooking stuff. Are you a good cook otherwise?
No, not so much. I'm not bad. My husband does all of the savory cooking.
Okay, yeah. All right, and you handle the desserts and the breakfast.
Yep, exactly. That's how we make it work. It's a good partnership.
That's awesome. Well, this is amazing, and I congratulate you on getting the nerve and the gumption up to do it. And because I mean, most people don't realize how stressful it is.
It is.
And as you grow, if you get employees that are in on this, I mean, that's to be able to sit there and go home at night and go, I'm responsible for putting food on their plate.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. Mm-hmm. And when the crap hits the fan, another euphemism, but the buck stops with you. I mean, you've got to make that repair. You've got to figure out a way to do it, because if you are dead in the water, you're not selling any of the pastries.
Exactly.
So, I applaud you for having the gumption to do this and see this and realizing that and I really do think there's such a huge need for that in here. I mean, if you can. Obviously, you can go online and you can order and you can pick up, make arrangements to meet and stuff like that. But for the boaters that are out there, I mean, I'm thinking if you're going out for a day sailing or something like that, to be able to stock up on fresh baked goods.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're out there sleeping off that hangover in the mooring field or something like that, there ain't nothing better than a good.
For sure, and that was something I remembered a lot. So I'm an Annapolis native. I grew up near the Bay Bridge on the Broadneck Peninsula my whole life. Mm-hmm. And my parents, both of them, had this sailboat that they lived aboard before my brother and I were born, and they took it all over the Chesapeake Bay. And so we would spend a lot of weekends on this boat, and we would go out and we would have so much fun. And, we'd swing off the boat into the water and sail all around. And then, you get like a little bit sunburnt, so you sleep really well. And then you wake up in the morning and my mom hands me like a juice box, maybe like a Pop-Tart, because we didn't have a refrigerator.
Sure.
And I was always just like, I'd really rather have like a cinnamon bun,
Okay.
So.
Pop-Tarts, do you like them?
I love the Pop-Tarts I make.
They don't count. Kellogg's.
I do love Pop-Tarts. I'll be honest. I have some really like guilty pleasure snacks, dessert snacks for sure. Pop-Tarts are one of them. I mean, I could eat Twinkies until the day I die. I love a good Twinkie.
Well, there's a place in the world for everything.
Absolutely.
That's people go sometimes Taco Bell just really hits the spot. Sometimes that,
you've got to feed your soul.
Speaking of the hangover mornings, the sausage McMuffin with egg and cheese.
Oh, yeah.
Is good. It sops up the whatever's left and it
Totally.
deposits grease and whatever else it does.
It just turns the whole day around.
But there is a place for everything in the world, and I think there's a huge place for Coco and Pearl in the waters of Annapolis. Look for cocoandpearl.com. And how does a boater order from you? Again, just go online to cocoandpearl.com. It's COCOANDPEARL.com and order it. And just, what do you give a mooring number?
Yep. So you'll go online. There'll be a big button that says "Order Now." Right now, it says "Coming Soon." So you click on that button. That'll take you to a page where you can put in an order. You'll be able to choose from all the things that are already preloaded that we'll be offering that week. There'll be some staples, some things I offer every week, and some things I'll probably change with the seasons, just flavor-wise. And then in the notes, put in your mooring ball number or the marina that you're staying at, and I will bring it to you.
And the slip and everything else, and that's awesome.
Yeah, so I may or may not be able to get to some of the slips that are like really in the depths,
Sure.
But I have got a phone number on there. You're always just a phone call away. We'll be on the radio. You can always give us a shout.
So somebody can come to the end of the pier.
We'll make it work.
And figure it out.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And what are you planning on doing in the winter? Okay, I mean, I've got to imagine not the baking biz, but the boating biz is pretty miserable come November, December, January, February.
It's pretty gross. It is unpleasant. So the winter is when I do all of my boat maintenance. I'll be making some upgrades. Hopefully in just a few years I'll have a storefront that'll also be open in the wintertime. But for now it's going to be mostly boat maintenance and just getting everything as gorgeous as possible. So the boat shows up and you're like, wow, look how beautiful that boat is. Look how beautiful these pastries are. And then off we go.
Now, I've seen some pictures of the boat, and they're all from very good angles, which is, everybody wants to take a picture of their own with their best angles.
Oh, yeah.
Does it have a picture of a Honeybun on it someplace?
Not yet.
Okay, not yet?
I haven't put the name on it yet.
See, that's no words.
Nothing.
Just a honey bun.
Oh, yeah.
On the stern.
Yeah. And I failed to mention because to me it feels obvious, but I will be offering honey buns. If the boat's going to be called Honeybun, I feel like you got to sell honey buns.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'll just put a big picture of a honey bun.
That'd be cool. Hannah Gribbon, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
cocoandpearl.com is where you want to go. Get your pastries, get your breakfast breads and everything else delivered to you right on your boat or at your pier. Or if you want to go pick it up, you can do that as well. But thank you so much for your time today and congratulations. I can't wait to give it a shot.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this week's Local Business Spotlight. Please make sure to visit eyeonannapolis.net for all your local news, events, and opinion. And in case you haven't already, please subscribe to the Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief, where we bring you all the day's local news direct to your phone, tablet, or computer in about 10 minutes. It comes to you at 6 a.m. every Monday through Friday, and you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.